The modern GIS stack has created an explosion of new roles and job titles, and a lot of them might sound very similar to traditional GIS jobs, but it's evolved them and taken them to a new level. Now in this video, I'm going to break down 7 of these different new modern roles that you might be seeing if you're looking for a new job or trying to break into a modern GIS career path. We're going to break down what's inside of each of these roles, what you can expect, and more importantly, what you can learn and how to connect it into 4 of the most key skills in the modern geospatial data stack. Let's go ahead and break down the first role. And we're going to start at the bottom of the stack with Geospatial Data Engineer. Let's break down data engineer. Now, data engineers handle the process of taking raw data from many different sources and building processes and pipeline to manage that data and move it into data that's ready to be consumed in the next layer. Now, a lot of what they do is take, like I said, data from different sources. That might be public data sources, that may be private data sources, but data that's coming in from lots of different places and bring it into one single unified layer. That layer is generally built on cloud native formats, is stored in cloud storage, and then is orchestrated with a catalog like you see here. This is true and carries across any of the geospatial data types, be it raster, vector, or the array-based climate formats. So any of these data types can be applicable and you can work across any of them, choosing the right file type, catalog system, and the storage for each of those. Now the process usually looks like this. This is what's known as a medallion or multi-hop architecture. And basically, if you start on the left, you have lots of data coming from lots of places. You want to bring it in and unify it in that first layer, which is known as the bronze layer. That's basically a replication of the raw data, but now it's in your catalog system, so you can see as the data is updated or changed or deleted, and people can actually go back in and understand what's happening there. From there, you bring it into a silver layer. That's where you basically do a lot of the heavy spatial processing, maybe it joins or intersections or clipping or any of these different processes that you want to do here. There's lots of different things you can do here, from the simple to like a spatial join or just some spatial cleanup or creating geometries from lat long, all the way up to way more complex stuff. There's different layers you could do here, like geospatial conflation, trying to map buildings to another geospatial data set like Overture Maps data. You could be doing some more complex stuff here, like GPS map matching or raster to vector, zonal statistics joins and stuff like that. Or you could even be kind of merging raster layers together and creating unified views and mosaics. There's lots of stuff that happens in here, but usually silver layer is where a lot of the heavy processing for the spatial components live. And then in the third gold layer, you want to create data that's ready to be consumed by upstream systems, and you need to know what the data format needs to be for those upstream systems. If it's for an AI LLM pipeline, it needs to be more text-based. If it's for analytics, it needs to be very easy to join to lots of other data sets. And increasingly here, you want to kind of make it ready for these systems. Does it need to have a geometry? Does it not? Can it be joined to other data sets? Is it ready for someone to basically download as a spreadsheet if that's what they want to do? And there's lots of different systems. Like I mentioned a few, you could have a business intelligence tool, a spatial analytics tool, a web application. You can actually spit out tiles as PM tiles as a cloud-ready format, all the way into like LLM applications or just your traditional desktop GIS system. You need to know how that data should be structured there and have it efficient enough in the silver layer that the gold layer can process it fast and easy. Now, a lot of this also has to be, systems orchestration. Sometimes you might be in charge of that, sometimes you might not. But here you really want to focus in on this data process. You are finding the most efficient way to manage and structure that data. And there's lots of different choices you can make here, from how you scale and choose the right compute infrastructure. Do I need to use a small machine or a large machine? And like I said, if you think of the system as in design thinking it's about preserving that compute as much as possible. Now, you won't touch some of these other upper layers here, but you will be working around these different layers, but it's all around the data. And that actually brings me into my next role, which is analytics engineer or geospatial analytics engineer. And that actually kind of serves a very similar role to the data engineer, but it actually sits between the data and the analytics layer, somewhere in between here where you have the dashboard and the data sets at the bottom level here that come out of that gold layer. And their goal here is to create reproducible query-ready data sets. Now, these upstream systems, a lot of times they will constantly be querying a database, traditionally like an OLAP, sometimes the OTAP or the transactional database. In this case, it's like a data warehouse or a DuckDB or a SedonaDB, or something like a PostGIS. And the more those things compute queries, right, and go down, the more compute it consumes, right? So if there's 100 people accessing a query, it might be computing that all the time. The analytics engineer their job is to take these data layers from the data engineer and work with them to make queries that are very reproducible and scalable for the upstream business problem, right? The data engineer will kind of understand the formats that they need to get into and the structures and things like that. The analytics engineer makes it very efficient to say, here's the business problem someone wants to see on a dashboard. How do I make sure this thing is lightning fast and very easy to do? So the analytics engineer sits in between these two roles. If you're really functional with SQL, but you also understand the front end and things like that, this is like a perfect place to sit within and make this really scalable. The next is the spatial analyst, right? You might kind of conflate this to a GIS analyst, but it works more at the top scale here between the spatial analytical tools, maybe a business intelligence tool. Also within some of the data layers, they can, kind of partner with the analytics engineers and sometimes the data engineers to do a lot of different things. And they're increasingly working with business teams to understand, what do you need to get out of your spatial data? What do you need to show? How should I represent that? And using a lot of spatial thinking to create these different, tools and, dashboards and things like that. You may be working in a spatial analytics system like these that you see here. You may be building more dashboards and business intelligence tools, or you may be doing things in GIS as well. And its most important thing is to really understand the stakeholder need. Who are you building for and what are they asking for? And how can you create something that's impactful there? It blends elements of cartography. How do you create effective visualizations that aren't just kind of like out of the box, here's a map with some colors on it? And increasingly, you're going to be working with Python and SQL to be extracting and pulling that data in. But again, it works a lot like a GIS role, but you need to apply that strategic thinking to hear what people actually need, and allows you to focus on that upstream task more than worrying about wrangling data on the back end. And I'll pause here because this is one big differentiation between these roles that have existed in the past. A lot of times you're expected to do all these things, and I think that's just too much to do. And increasingly, organizations are starting to break these roles out into these different areas. So I think it's really important to kind of understand that it allows you to really go deep and focus on areas, as well as collaborate with others really efficiently. But now we talked about spatial analysts. Let's talk about spatial data scientists. And this is a role that has grown and developed as we've seen a rise in general interest around data science over the past couple of years. Now, data scientists should be really focused in on a few key areas, right? That's focusing in on, understanding exploratory data analysis. Like, you're taking data that may have been prepared by the data engineer or the analytics engineer and doing creating some insights from that, right? It's not the analytics engineer to decide what's in the data or understand the statistical significance of it. The spatial data scientist is going to be really focused in on drawing insights out of that, right? That might be statistical based, like looking at some basic averages and creating some different charts and plots to understand what's going on, adding maybe things like traditional machine learning into that to understand how they can do predictions or clustering or classification of the data, or adding true spatial data science or spatial econometrics using tools like PySal. How can you understand clustering from a spatial perspective using GEDIS or GI star? How can you understand spatiotemporal trends? There's lots of different algorithms that you can get into, even doing things like optimization, route optimization, balancing. All these different things fall under the purview of the spatial data scientist. You're taking all of this data that's been prepped at these other layers, working in this core group of tools and doing things there. Now, again, you take data that might come from the geospatial analytics engineer or the geospatial data engineer. You're prepping these analyses, creating pipelines, doing all these things to make it efficiently, and oftentimes passing some of that back to the spatial analyst. I mean, the spatial analyst says, hey, I need to have a data set that does prediction over these different areas. Can you help me do that? Data scientist says, yes, I can build the machine learning and build a pipeline there. And then they're building those different models out. So that's really where the geospatial data scientist lives. It's really focused in on a lot of Python, but also a lot of this applied science. And people have been doing this in lots of different ways, both on vector data, of course, in raster data with tools like TorchGeo and creating deep learning models, and then even into the climate data doing forecasts and predictions and things like that. That's really the realm of the spatial data scientist. But again, they can't do their work, they can't do their work effectively unless they have good data coming from these other layers at the bottom. Now, the fifth role I want to talk about is the geospatial developer. That really lives up here, and they're creating purpose-built applications. They're not building dashboards, they're not building GIS tools, they're building applications that may be used internally by hundreds or thousands of people, or they might be building public-facing applications that might be used by thousands or millions of people potentially. And they're really building web-based applications as well as mobile applications. So there's a lot of considerations that they have to make, but the core toolkit you're going to be working with is JavaScript, or maybe a iOS language like Swift, or maybe a native language like React, JS, or different tools like that. There's a few core problems they want to solve for. How do they bring the data up and render it most efficiently and quickly so that the application can show what it needs to do? What are the interactions that the person wants to take with the application? Are they clicking, searching? Do they need live information? Do they need to know their location? All these different pieces that build into that. What about components for location search? How does custom data come into this? All these different pieces they're kind of considering. And a lot of this happens through JavaScript. Again, You're going to be pulling data from all these other layers. Maybe that's the spatial analyst or the spatial data scientist. There's prediction layers. Maybe you're working with the geospatial data engineer to say, hey, I need these tile sets spit out in this specific way, or I'm going to be acting and querying data from here. The data engineer might give you some tiles or push data into a transactional database like PostGIS that can pull that data there. But you're building this application. There's a design thinking there that happens, as well as the practical execution of building that app, that actual web or mobile application. Now, this is kind of the toolkit that you'll work within up here. It's a really interesting role, and I think it's starting to see a resurgence as the data layer gets better and we can produce easier data, so it becomes less of a job of a developer to have to wrangle with data. They can just focus on building really good, well-built applications, and that's what they focus in on up here. Now, there's two other roles that kind of fit across these areas. One is like the cloud architect, right? And you could call this a geospatial cloud architect, but basically you're designing systems and governance and security and all these different pieces around these systems from all these different layers, from it, be it the storage, how do you develop the right security and permission rules for different buckets? How do you help deploy applications? Do you need to have something custom, or when to use a cloud system that's already pre-built? These are kind of the systems that they're thinking how these things fit together. So they're going to be working across these different roles to understand what are the needs, how do they need their data, what are the considerations for the cloud, and how can they optimize that as much as possible. Cloud architects are common in many big organizations, but increasingly we start to see that geospatial as these systems start to build out and fit together. And then the final one is kind of more specialized for the ML engineer, right? They're focused in on helping the spatial data scientist and fitting that into the geospatial data engineer to make those things scalable. So let's say the geospatial data scientist built a new pipeline or a model that they built to do some sort of object detection on, some raster imagery that they're getting in. Well, the geospatial ML engineer will understand what is the requirements for the scale of that data. How often does it need to be updated? How often should we evaluate the data? Are there any outliers that I need to detect? And if the model changes, how are we going to be updating that? Then taking that to understand, okay, where's the data coming from? Then I might talk to the data engineer to say, we need the data in this format. Here's the pipeline I want to use to run this. Here's how frequently it goes. And then here's how I deploy that model so it's running continuously in the background to help those things. It's a little bit more specialized than a cloud architect because it focuses on that specific piece, but commonly a lot of the same thinking and consideration the cloud architect will be taking. Now, like I said, a lot of times you might have been forced to do different parts of these different roles, and in every organization it's going to look a little bit different. But I think more and more we're starting to see these roles segment out because you need people that are specialized. You can't expect one person to do all 7 of these different tasks. That just becomes too monumental. And I think for you personally, you want to take a look at these different roles and understand what are the things that really interest you. Like your next move should depend on what things you want to grow into and what's focused on that. For me, I really gravitated towards geospatial data engineering. I made my way through doing bits and pieces of these things over my career, but I really just like building scalable data systems. I really enjoy that. So that's kind of where I've found myself landing for quite a bit of time. But to do this effectively, think about what skills you have. Like, what are the things that you do really well today? Where can you build and augment that to fit into a specific role? And most importantly, when you're starting to go out and look for new roles, it's a lot about positioning and deciding the value that you bring to an organization and really clearly emphasizing that. So it says, hey, if you're going after a geospatial data engineering role, here's the things I bring to the table and here's how to do that. Now, the tricky part can be sometimes some of these roles aren't clearly listed. So you might have a listing that might say, geospatial specialist, and it might be focused in on, spatial analytics roles or geospatial developer roles. You have to kind of figure that out. So sometimes that can be tricky, but the more you position yourself, not just in the what you do, but the value you bring or how you do that is going to be really important. I have a course here, you can check it out in the description, that kind of tells you how to do some of this career positioning, and there's some AI tools that can help you get there. So check that out, and if you're interested in that and how this whole career thing breaks out, that's a really good resource to get started. But these are just roles. You actually need to understand how these systems things together, and any of these roles will need to know where these different pieces are coming from and actually how a system like this can evolve over time. And usually that's one of the biggest questions I get. How do I even build a system like this, or how do I even start to think about that? And really that's making the leap from a traditional GIS to that modern GIS mindset and architecture. And in the next video, I'll show you about that, talk a little bit about where these roles fit in, and actually how, if you're starting from scratch or you want to build this ecosystem, how you can build that yourself.